And then suddenly, Iier said, "Marry my husband." "What?" Remy replied, "I cannot do that. And you know it." Iier knelt down, crying and begging Remy to marry her husband. Many years ago, in the village of Iier, there lived two beautiful sisters who loved themselves endlessly. Their mother Iier always called them "my heart" because they were the only children she had had from her first marriage, which ended abruptly because she was not able to bear a male child for her husband. Iier was the eldest, while Remy was the youngest. They looked so much alike, and you could mistake them for identical twins, even though they were 2 years apart. Iier, which means mother, had given birth to Remy in hope that it was going to be a male child, but ended up as a female, knowing fully well that her husband actually wanted a male child. Shortly after giving birth to Remy, her husband chased her out of the house, claiming that she only had female children in her womb. Iier had to return back to her village, where she single-handedly took care of her two daughters to the admiration of all the villagers. Iier and Remy grew and became so beautiful that everyone in the village admired them. One day, as Iier was taking a walk, a young man approached her. "My name is Nosa. Please, how can I get to the market square?" Iier replied, "Okay, follow me. It's not far from here. I would show you the way." While they were going, Nosa told Iier how beautiful she was looking. "I love your smile, and this your hair really suits you." "Thank you," Iier answered. "That is the market square," Iier said, pointing to the direction of the market. "Thank you so much," he replied. "Please, I would love to meet you again. I only came to this market to introduce the traders to my new wine because I produce wine." "Oh, wow, that's great." Not long after that, Iier and Nosa became close friends. You could barely see them everywhere they go together. From friends, they became lovers. Remy, Iier's younger sister, on the other hand, has not been lucky with love. It almost seems as though she was cursed, as no man has ever showed interest in her. One day, as she went to the farm to harvest some of her farm produce, she met a young man close to her farmland, staring right at her. "Who are you? And what are you doing in my farmland?" "Oh, this is your farm?" he answered. "Yes," she replied. "Okay, I'm on my way to the next village and needed to rest for a minute before I continue my journey," he said. "Okay, that's fine. I'm only here to harvest some of my farm products," she replied. "Okay, but I can assist you," the stranger answered her. "No thanks," she said. "I insist," the stranger replied. "Okay then, that's fine if you don't mind." Immediately, he joined her to harvest on her farmland. They had worked on the farm for 5 straight hours, and at this point, they were both tired. "We have tried for the day," she said. "I would have loved to help you to finish this harvesting in your farm If only I have a place to spend the night, the stranger told Remy. That won't be a problem. You can spend the night at my place, she said. Okay, that will be fine. They both walked down to her house, talking and laughing. It was as if Remy has known this stranger for a very long time. She was happy to have at least seen a man who is very kind to her and really wants to help her. When they arrived at her place, Iier looked at Remy. Who is he? She said. Oh, Iier, don't worry. He is the kind person who helped me with the harvesting today. And so, Iier interrupted. He's going to be spending the night in the guest room before he continues the journey next tomorrow because he promised to help me continue with the harvesting the tomorrow for him to continue his journey a day after the next. Reme, this does not look good, Iier said. Iier, don't worry. He's a nice person. Okay, oh, if you say so. Not long after that, Enkay brought out a plate of delicious okra and pounded yam soup, as it is in their habit to entertain strangers. The stranger ate and thanked her. Thank you, ma, the stranger said. You are welcome, Enkay replied. The stranger had slept in the visitor's room while Reme slept in her sister's room. She could barely sleep as the thought of the stranger who had helped her in the farm filled her mind. Each time she thought of him, her heart skipped and her heartbeat almost seems as if it is going to explode. And before she could realize, she fell in love with a stranger. It was dawn, and Remy went straight to the stranger's room and greeted him. Good morning. Good morning, beautiful, he replied. Her heart skipped as no man has ever called her beautiful. This made her fell deep in love with the stranger. They went to her farmland as promised to harvest the farm product. This time around, it was more fun as they discussed, they laughed, they sang, they danced, and as they were harvesting on the farmland. When they were finally done, it was already noon. Reme was really happy as the stranger she has fallen in love with has made the work much more easier and fun for her. Soon, she told him how she felt. I really like you, Reme said. Me too, he replied. Do you know that there are traders in my village who buys this farm product and they buy it at a very good price and you will make a lot of profit from your product? Really? She replied. Sooner than we realized, Reme had gathered all the farm products and handed it over to the stranger. Can you help me take it to your village and help me sell them? She begged him. Yes, of course. I would bring the money back before it is nightfall. Oh wow, that is so kind of you. Thank you so much. She was really happy. He took all the farm products away and Reme went home empty handed. When Iier saw her, she questioned her. Reme, where are the farm products? Oh, he helped me sell them, she replied. Who? Iier questioned again. Hmm, hmm, the stranger. At this point, Remy realized that she does not even know the stranger's name. Really? Are you being serious, Remy? Can you believe yourself? How can you pack all the farm products and hand it over to a stranger? How can you trust people so much, Remy? Remy, you have just been swindled. It is okay. Mama, don't worry. No, I have not been swindled. He promised to bring the money by nightfall. It is okay. Let me wait and see, Iier said. It was nightfall and the stranger was nowhere to be found. When it was done, Remy tried looking for the stranger, thinking he probably lost his way. A day soon turned to a month before Remy realized that, of a truth, she has been swindled by a stranger she had fallen deep in love with and felt that finally she had found love. Oh, this really shattered the heart of Remy and made her have resentment for men. The love between Iier and Nosa grew and flourished, so much so that in no time, Nosa proposed to Iier. They started their wedding preparations and eventually they got married traditionally. After their wedding, their business blossomed. Nosa's wine was in high demand and people from far and wide would come to buy Nosa's wine. In fact, they became the envy of the town as they were two young couples who had prospered in leaps and bounds. Exactly 6 months into their marriage, Nosa built a house, which was the most beautiful in their clan. But soon, they became the talk of the town as people had rumored that Nosa and Iier had used their future children for money ritual because they had all the money, lived in a beautiful house, had all they want to themselves, but do not have children. This became a concern to Iier in particular as the years went by. In fact, Iier found it hard to visit Iier and Remy because each time she visited, people would always look at her tummy to see if it has finally protruded as a sign of pregnancy. Early one morning, Remy went to visit Iier in her house. Wow, welcome my beloved sister. Thank you. You know I can't stay a week without seeing or hearing from you. So I decided to pay you a visit since you no longer come to see Iier and I because of what people would say. I know you understand, my sister. Thank you for visiting. You are a true sister because you have shown me nothing but love. You have supported me all these years. I am very grateful, Remy, Iier said. You know you are the only sister I've got. So cheer up, my sister. How you doing? Apparently, the duo, Iier and Remy, had gone to see a fertility expert. This was a woman who deals on herbal medicine. All she does was to mix concoction of various kind for women who found it impossible to give birth to children. These were mostly women termed Barry. But most often than not, they return back bearing their precious babies. And so, because of this, Remy and Nosa decided to visit her. How far? How is it going? Rieme questioned. I took all the drugs. I and my husband, we have been intimates. And my sister, to tell you the truth, nothing has happened. I am tired. I don't know. It seems as if the gods doesn't have it in their plan to give me my own children. Don't say that, Rieme interrupted. Why will you say such a thing? In no time, you would have your own children. Don't worry. I promise you, it takes a little patience and everything will be fine. The duo continued their conversation until Nosa returned from work and met them discussing. And after a while, Rieme told Iier, I will take my leave now. Thank you, Rieme, for visiting. Send my warm regards to Iier. Tell her I would see her soon. And if I don't, she should not forget to check up on me. It took another 5 years for QB to finally visit Remy, but this time around, her eyes were opened, looking at everything that doesn't seem right or what you would call red flags. But this time around, it was different because Remy had found love in the arms of a prince who was fond of her and loved her unconditionally and was already considering marrying Remy. Their love began to blossom, and in no time, when she marries, the prince is going to make her and she is going to become royalty. As usual, things went on between Nosa and Iier for years without having a child. Everything flourished around them except the womb of Iier, who has been married for 5 years. And soon, people started gossiping, talking about them, especially Iier, for being so wicked and heartless, for not even having a child and doesn't even want her husband to get married to a second wife. One day, Iier walked past the villagers and a woman said, Barren woman. Iier pretended not to have heard her, but this time around, the woman went closer to Ivier's ears and screamed it louder. Empty womb. At this point, all eyes turned to Iier. Tears rolled down her eyes as she had to run home. When she got home, she was crying. Nosa looked at her. Why are you crying, my precious Iier? I am tired of this life. No, why will you say that? Nosa interrupted. Why won't I say that when God has forgotten me? God has not forgotten you. God has not forgotten us. And He has not forgotten us. And I am barren. Nosa pet her and calmed her down, not to be hard on herself, that in no time they are going to have children of their own. That is what you would say. But eventually, you are going to leave me and marry a second wife. I won't do that. Iier, you know I love you so much. You are the wife of my youth. I can't leave you. We are in this together. In Ivier's quiet time, she thought of the outcome if she does not give her husband a child. Eventually, people are going to pressurize Nusa to get married to a second wife and have children for him. And she thought to herself, no, I will not let that happen. I will not let that happen to me. I know what to do. I know just what to do. For the first time in a long while, Iier visited Iier and Remy in the village and asked Remy to see her off after they have finished discussing as family. On their way, she discussed her ordeal to her sister, who was empathetic and asked her to be more patient, that she is going to give birth to her own children. Iier explained that Nosa, her husband, will become impatient with time and marry another woman. And then suddenly, Iier said, "Marry my husband." "What?" Remy replied, "I cannot do that. And you know it." Iier knelt down, crying and begging Remy to marry her husband so that she would bear children for the home and shame all of her enemies as they will become joyful mother of children. And because Remy was her sister, she promised her that they were going to live happily as one big family. Remy has always been fond of her sister Iier from childhood and loved her so much and hate to see her sister so broken and shattered, not even giving it a thorough thought. And for the love of her sister, she agreed to marry Nosa as a second wife. When Iier had summoned the courage to tell her husband about her plan, Nosa was angry and disappointed at Iier, but finally gave in to the plan. The prince had noticed that Remy had been avoiding him and was wondering what he must have done wrong. He confronted Remy and she told the prince that she can no longer continue with the relationship, that she was going to marry her sister's husband. "What? Are you okay, Remy? What is wrong with you? What about us?" he questioned. Remy said nothing and ran off. Iier questioned Remy's decision to marry Nosa, but since tradition permits it, she eventually allowed Remy to marry her sister's husband. A week later, Remy married her sister's husband and moved in to stay with them. They all seemed happy as one big family until Remy got pregnant. Iier started behaving hostile towards her, and on several occasions, Nosa cautioned her, warning her, "You brought your sister here to become your mate in the second place. Why are you being mean to her?" Remy maltreatment became worse when Iier got pregnant. At this point, the two sisters were heavily pregnant, but Remy gave birth to a baby boy. 3 months later, Iier gave birth to a baby girl. Things moved from bad to worse as Iier was no longer having it. She was fed up with her sister's presence. One fateful day, as Nosa traveled for a business trip, "Pack all your things, Remy. I no longer want you to be in my house. I don't want to see you in my space. Pack all your things. In fact, she threw Rieme's things out of the house. Rieme cried and begged, reminding her of how she has begged her to marry her husband and how she put her life on hold to make her sister happy. All these things she had done for the love of her sister. Iier paid deaf ears to all her cries and all her pleas and eventually sent Reme packing. Holding a baby in her hand, Reme said, "It shall never be well with you. I curse the day I call you sister. You betrayed my love. You betrayed my trust for you. You will not know love. You will never know joy, but sorrow and mourning shall be your habitation." Iier has been expecting the return of her husband for 2 days, only for the villagers to bring back his corpse that he was robbed and killed and has lost everything. Immediately, she put her hands on her head and started crying and wailing, "Who will help me? I have lost it all. My sister is gone. My husband is gone. I have nowhere to run to. I have no one to run to." And before they knew it, she fell on the floor and collapsed. Thank you for listening to these stories. I hope you've learned one or two lessons from this story. Subscribe to the channel for more interesting and beautiful stories. Until I see you again, it is bye for now.